Good evening, everyone. How we doing? Good. All right, so plan of attack is as follows. We have about an hour and a bit. It's going to be me up till 6 o'clock. Steve Quinones will get here about 6, so I might bring him up for the last 15 minutes. And then after you go out, the juniors and seniors will come in. So, thank you for coming along. Put your hands up if you're a freshman, or representing a freshman. Hands up if you're a sophomore. Anybody else here? Good. So my name is Peter Bradley. I'm the Director of Coaching for TPS. And I have been involved in the collegiate process since '97. So primarily, at the start, I was working with the female college coaches because I coached the Boston Renegades at the time. So we were interacting with UNCs of this world, Notre Dames of this world, having players come and play for us. And that's how I first got my foot in the door with the college coach game. But now the club has got to a point where I interact with college coaches of both boys and girls sides on a regular basis. Primarily our players, our families, will want to go somewhere in the East Coast. Our Massachusetts players are very insular. They love their mom and dad's cooking. They like the fact that they can get their laundry done nice and handy and don't really want to go too far away. So unfortunately, parents, you will not get rid of them as easily as you'd hoped. I have a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old that can't wait till they hit 18. So they stay in the East Coast, and that's where primarily we do our tournament access, and where primarily we take our teams. But there are a few who go Midwest and they want to go West Coast, and that's something we'll talk about a little bit later. So my accomplished assistant, Colin Hamill, will be helping me tonight. Right, Colin, let's skip. Okay, so Q, who again you'll meet a little bit later on, he's the College Placement Program Director. So that's what we're calling it, the CPP, College Placement Program. And effectively it's trying to help all our players find the right fit for where they want to go to school, right? And so specifically the freshmen here are going, well, is it early for me? We're going to talk about why it's not, and the sophomores the same thing. So so Steve is the College Placement Program. He's a college coach, University of Southern Maine. He's worked with national team programs as a goalkeeper coach. He's been around the block for a long time. Very, very accomplished in the college game. And I've already introduced myself. Colin. Okay. So what's the timeline and why start now? So the goals for me from this meeting, for some of you who may have been here last year, there's a couple of reasons, right? One is parents, I'm giving you sort of like the ability to point back to this meeting and say, remember what Pete said? Right? And for players, it's sort of a kick up the backside, so you can't say, oh, I didn't know, oh, no one told me, I didn't realize that we had to start this early, right? And so the way that the current college process is that if you're looking to play at a top Division I program in particular, then the timeline is getting pushed back and back and back. And I find it to be completely abhorrent, but it is, right? To think that a freshman or a sophomore should be asked to make a decision on their college situation, to me is ludicrous, right? Because they don't know what they want for breakfast, never mind saying where do you want to go to school. And yet, if you're at that level, if you're sitting in the room right now saying, I want to play at Stanford, I want to play at, I want to go and play in the ACC, even if it's not the ACC conferences, even if you're saying I want to go and play at the top Division I level, they're starting to recruit their players in sophomore year, and some of them even in freshman year, which is mind-blowing to me, right? So take the Boston College program. Boston College are almost certainly recruiting players as sophomores, and they're even looking at some freshmen. That might blow your socks off, but it's true. So that's why you need to start. Now again, until the NCAA changes some of those rules, that's the way it is. And we'll give some time at the end as to asking some questions and what that actual offer is. If BC came in for you as a freshman and said, oh, we want you to play for us, you're the player, what does that actually mean? Because until you sign in February of your senior year, the national letter of intent to say you're going to play for that college, that's when it's formally done. Up to that point, nothing's finalized. So a verbal commitment by a college to you as a freshman or sophomore is that, and that alone is a verbal commitment. It's saying we will do this if you do this, right? So it's for me as a parent, it's one of those ones I'm trying to think, if my kid was in that situation, what would I want to do? What would I want my kid to do? And unless it was an absolute no-brainer, I think I'd be sort of waiting to hold out as much as I could so they had a full range of choices. So the earlier you start, players, the earlier you kind of figure out what this is, what the process is all about, the better. And the earlier you own it, the better for you, and then you can treat it, it's something you should enjoy, right? It's going to be the first big decision you're going to make as a young adult, right? So we get to tell you what to do all the time, and now as you get to 18, you're going to be able to go off and have 4 years of unstructured support, heaven forbid. And you're going to have to get yourself out of bed to go to class, you're going to have to make sure you take your classes, you're going to have to, or you'll fail. And no matter how good a player you are, you'll get kicked out of your college. So you need to start taking the accountability for the process. So that's why I'm telling you to start now. Start to ask questions, start to understand what it is, and enjoy it. Say, you know what, I'm looking for, rather than being typical teenage players, and I've done this now, I've done not just these meetings, but the individual meetings, typical teenagers are useless, right? And they kind of procrastinate, and they dilly-dally, and everything is like, oh, do it later, Mom. Dad, get off. Dad, shut up. Right? And you're going, just do it, would you? Right? I've been to college. I don't need to do this, but unfortunately, it takes you a while for it to sink in. So starting earlier is better. I'll give you a great example. There's a senior currently playing for the club who emailed me last week. He's an excellent player. He's clearly good enough to have a good college career, depending on where he wanted to go, but he could have played collegiately. And he said, Pete, could you contact these 2 Division 1 schools for me? And I said, have you contacted them yet? He's in his senior year. It's 2 Division 1 schools. I said, have you contacted them yet? He says, no. I says, 1, you've got no chance. I says, these guys are done, right? Unless they're an act of God, these guys are not looking at you at this point. And 2, you honestly expect me to reach out to them before you've even reached out to them? I said, who are you kidding? I said, you needed to have owned this, as I told you 2 years ago, to have done this. Then you might have had a chance. Now you're sitting with nothing. You're hoping now that something might fall your way. I said, you haven't done this. So I want you to own the process, so when you get to a point when you've got some choice, that you have some choice, right? So start now. Second thing, well, really there's three things in terms of a college coach when they look at you. There's 3 things they want to know about you, right? And what's the first one? What's the most important one? Right, you can read. It's grades, because you have to be smart enough to get into that college program, right? You have to be smart enough. You don't have to be a genius unless they're looking for, if you're looking to go to Harvard, or you're looking to go to Stanford, you're looking to go to some of the top NESCACs, you need to be pretty smart, right? But whatever school you're looking to go for you have to be smart enough to get in. So if you're Lionel Messi or Mia Hamm and you're as thick as a brick, then you're not going Ivy League, right? So you need to figure out how are you going to get your grades to a point where you're smart enough to get in, because that's what they need to see. They need to look at you and go, okay, she's a student athlete. You notice it doesn't say athlete student, right? So the first and foremost thing is you're a student. Are you going to be able to go to that school and succeed? Otherwise, we are setting you up to fail, and they're setting you up to fail. And why bring in a player who's going to struggle and then end up having to flunk out even before the freshman year's done? So your grades are of paramount importance. And if your grades are close to getting you into an establishment, then the soccer and all the other wonderful stuff I'm sure you all do, the Cat Saving Society you're part of, right? The Helping Old People Across the Road Society you're helping part of, right? The baking cookies for your dad, who loves chocolate chip cookies, whatever. You're doing other things that are rounding out your character, that are making you different. Hopefully, you're all doing that, even now. And that means you've got to get off your backside and do something that's a little bit different, rather than just sitting going, I'm going to watch whatever you watch these days. I watch. What do I watch? You know, what do you call it? You probably watch the same programs.
Paw Patrol.
What do you watch?
Paw Patrol.
No, don't watch that one.
Team
Wander Over Yonder. Do you watch Wander Over Yonder?
No.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. My 7-year-old loves it. Anyway, so grades. So again, this is one for your parents to go and shout out. You know, you're saying, oh, I'll get my homework done, I'll do it. Is you can control doing your homework and keeping your grades up. Or you can say, you know what, I don't care. I'm not gonna put in my best effort. And that way you'll leave yourself a wee bit short of some of the schools you might have had a chance with. That starts now. Right? And so when your parents are kind of going, do your homework, and you go, no. Right? It's kind of a parental thing to do because we truly want you to be successful. But ultimately you have to own that. So if you can do a wee bit more, do a wee bit more. If you could get an extra grade a little bit higher, get the extra grade a little bit higher. Do it now, because at the end of the day, you'll have more choice. Or else you'll be sitting going, well, I really would like to go there. And you won't down and go, I would love to have gone there as well, but you wouldn't do your flipping homework the last 18 months. Right? So you need to control that part of it. So who gets you in? It's the admissions office gets you in, and college coaches, obviously, some of them have very strong relationships with their admissions office. And they play that game of each year they'll go in and take a box of chocolates and say, hey, you're looking great, and maybe that gets them an extra person in the door that year. In some schools, in the Division 3s in particular, they have, this is not written down anywhere, but they have things called tips or leans, or where they can, each year, like basketball might get one year, soccer might get 2, and that year maybe you're close to getting in. Everything else about you is perfect for the school. You're their number 1 recruit as a soccer player. You've got a fantastic, well-rounded resume, and your grades are just right on the cusp. Then that can get you in the door, right? So that's where the soccer coach can go to the admissions office and say, right, this one's right on the bubble for me. This player's right on the bubble, but she or he is a class person. Look at all the stuff they do, and they're my number 1 or number 2 recruit. I need them. I want them. Boom. So, remember, again, no matter what the coach is telling you, no matter what they tell you, that goes the same way I said at the start for that verbal commitment piece. If BC came in for you and said, right, we want you to come in, and here's what it's all reliant on grades. If your grades aren't good enough, then all bets are off. And then the choice of picking the right school is really, this is what it's all about, because I say I've been doing the college meetings with the juniors for about 10 years now. And I always have the player come in, and you'll do this when you come through. The boys will come with me and the girls will go to queue, and you'll come in and your parents will get a chance to speak at the end. It's the first time you look at your parents and say, shh, you stay over there, listen, right? And you'll be talking directly to me, and your parents can talk at the end. Right? And only once have I had a parent say to me, my child must play Division 1, once. And I'm like, what, why? Why must they play Division 1? That doesn't make any sense to me, right? You're trying to pick the right fit for your child based on a number of different factors, of which soccer is just one of them, right? I hope that's the way most of you are thinking, right? That you're saying that soccer is a factor in a decision, but it's not the be-all or end-all. And the broken leg rule was a good one, because if you went to a school and you realised you couldn't play there at all, so heaven forbid, you had a career-ending injury and you were done, and you realised that was the wrong fit for you, right? Then that's obviously a bad shot, right? So you need to pick the school based on a number of factors which make sense to you, of which football is one of them. Fair enough? Any questions? All makes perfect sense so far. Hold on a second, Colin. Alright, next slide.
How is it done?
I have to wait 2 seconds. 2 seconds, Gary? Alright.
Not wait.
Okay, so knowledge is power, right? So again, the best situation for me as the director of coaching for the club, and for all of that, we're in 10 states right now. I do these meetings, and I go to South Carolina, I go to Florida, I go to New York, I go all over the place. And I tell the players, the best situation is if you own this, then it's better for the whole thing, right? And how do you own it? How do you find more things out where you can feel better about it? So, how do you do that? What ways can you find out information on the college process? Nate Cole. You look as if you're falling asleep and everything, so I just thought I'd give you a nudge. I would love to. I would love to repeat the question because you were falling asleep. That's why you didn't hear it. I said, what things could you do as a young student athlete to access knowledge on a university program?
Go to their website.
Awesome. You can use the internet. It's a wonderful thing, the internet, right? Find it. You can ask questions about anything. How do you cook a ham? And it comes up and tells you 15 different ways how to cook a ham. So you go to the internet, right? You can research stuff on the internet, right? And it's a great tool, and it's one that you should use. There's lots of different ways to do it, and you can access information on that in those programs. And you can access things down to what food they serve at the college, right? You can go into as much detail as you want. The school that was ranked the #1 school in some blog, culinarily, do you know what it was? It was a school in Maine. Bowdoin College, the best food in the US, baby, for anybody who went to Bowdoin. So apparently, I've never eaten up there. It's not when the wife didn't want to go when I said, let's go to Bowdoin College for dinner. Didn't fancy it. So, but apparently it's got, so those are the things you can dig down and find out about. And you really want to research a wide range. You want to start it broad and narrow it down, right? So when you think about the research, okay, we said you could use the website. What else could you use? What else could you use as resources to find out stuff about schools? Hands up. If we have to pick on somebody. Swartzwitz, you're in. You've got no idea. Smart lad like you, and you've got no idea. So you only got the internet, you got nothing else. If the internet doesn't work, you're stuck. Nothing else to do. What else could you use? Whoa, good. Well, a random stranger in the street? Oh, excuse me, big man. Do you know anything about Bowdoin College? Who you going to ask? Brilliant. Right? Fantastic, right? You could start with your parents, but that's okay. I know your dad, and it's one of those ones you're like, no, I'm not asking anything. So you could ask your parents for some advice, but you could then say, oh, great, what would they say? Let's go and try and suss out some people who have actually gone to that program. Is there family members? Is there friends? Is there people in your school? Is there alumni from the club? Is there people who've been there? Great access to go and find out the down and dirty about a program. Brilliant. What else? What else could you use to suss out schools? Girls, anybody who wants to be a hero? Girls up in the head. Put your hands up if someone's got an idea. It's supposed to be, again, the part of this process is that you're bright, intelligent, parents should not let you put your hand up, and you've got a brain. What else could you use? Internet? Other people? Books? Now you go back 50 years. People still read books? Yes, you could use books. What else? You want to find out about the football program, soccer program? What could you do? One of the things I hate this question is when the player sits in front of me and says, Coach, do you think I could play at Brandeis? What's the first thing I say?
Watch a match.
Say, have you seen them play? They go, no. So you want me to tell you, if you think I think you could play at Brandeis, but you've never seen Brandeis play when they're down the road from you. Yeah. So we'll go and watch them. Right? So you could go and watch games. You can see how coaches do stuff on the sideline. You can see how they interact with the players. Right? You can go and do that. What else could you do to find out more about schools, given that you're living in one of the most college-rich parts of the country? Stop it. You could go to one, couldn't you? Exactly. You can go visit them, right? And visiting them, you can go, it's a very tangible piece because you can go on a campus and you get a feel for the campus. So when you actually walk on the school, I remember when I was doing my research in 1986, and I was in Northern Ireland and I went to England, which was I went to England and I went to this little school in Kent, and I walked on the campus and I'm like, oh, this is me, I'm done, I'm all set. This is great, this is what I wanted, I'm all set, I'm fine, right? I had 4 great years, loved it, became a French teacher. And you'll go to some campuses where your parents will say, oh, you've got to go see Trinity, or you've got to go down, Columbia's a wonderful, you go to Columbia, it's beautiful, you're going to click Columbia, you go, isn't that beautiful? What are you talking about? Deepest, darkest New York here, hold on a second. Don't fancy this at all, right? And so you will have that piece, right? You are the one that's going to go there. So you need going and visiting the schools and seeing the campuses and walking around, I think is a tremendous thing to do. So all of those things will give you a frame of reference, right? In terms of understanding what the school's about. What are some of the factors that might come into play in your choice of where you want to go to school? So what are some of the things you might actually have to think about in terms of, even now, and this is another hard part, right? Because most of you, as I said, you can't make your mind up on small things. So when your parents go, well, what are you thinking about college? And you go, I don't know. What are you asking that for? Right? So you actually have to give it some thought. You actually have to think, which is very challenging for the vast majority of teenagers. Right? So, what does that mean? What are some of the factors? Give me a factor that might be important. So what do you want to study? Right? Now again, quite a lot of our student athletes don't really know, but think about things that you might like, things that you're good at in school, things that you think may end up with a career path. You have to think that way, right? Where am I going to go with it? What am I going to do? Right? So I was into languages, and my dad was like, great, you can be an interpreter and make loads of money. And I'm like, do interpreters make loads of money? I'm like, okay. I said, I want to be a teacher. I said, I'd be really happy being a teacher. And I went off and became a teacher. Right? So think about what you like and what you want to do. Right? Good one. What else? What other factors would be important to you? I'm going to cross the front row. Right, so is it urban versus rural, right? Do you want to be out in the country? Do you want to be in the city? Is a northeastern the right spot for you? Is Franklin Pierce, where you see more sheep than you see people? Is that the right place for you? Right? And that's up to you where you say, what's the right fit? What do I want? Right? So that's a good one. So whereabouts, rural versus urban. What else? What other factors will be important? Because it's your process, right? It's your list. So you might say that rural versus urban is number one for me. You might say, no, but the major is number one for me. Right? What other things might come into play? So, it could be that, Catholic school, public school, it could be the type of school you want to go to. That could be absolutely high up the list. Size of school, love it. This is the smart girl in the front here. Give me another. I guess. Think of something else. The girls usually say smart stuff, the boys usually say food, climate, whether they're any good or not. Right? That's usually the three. What's the food like? Is it warm? And is the program any good? The boys are going to sign me up. Good cheeseburger in the heat, and the team is nicely competitive. That's where I'm going. Does not have the program I want. I don't care. Good cheeseburgers wins every day of the week. What else we got? A legacy, so you've got somebody who went there, mum's on the board of trustees, excellent. That could be a separating factor for why you want to go there, right? What else? What other factors might come into play? Anybody? Cost, right? It's getting ridiculous these days. It's scandalous how much it costs, right? What's your family situation? Does it matter? Does money not matter? For most of us, money matters, right? So you're going, okay, what do we qualify for financial aid? The chances of you getting an athletic scholarship, if you're playing club football or you're doing football to get an athletic scholarship, then you're foolish, right? And it's so hard to get. It might happen, but it very rarely happens. You're much more likely to get academic scholarship than you are athletic scholarship. Much more likely. So you need to think about, how am I going to get that piece? Is it financial aid that we're going to qualify for? Is it maybe some small athletic scholarship? Is there academic scholarship that I need to apply for? And each school will have different ones, different situations there which you need to research and check in with schools. Because sometimes if a college coach says to you, I've got no money to give you, and then one of the players that they've assigned money to drops out, and all of a sudden $12,000 has become available, and you call that next month and say, Coach, just checking there's still no money available, and he goes, I've got $12,000. And you're going, yes, just because I made that phone call. And he might say, I'll give you some of it, he might, I'll give you none of it. But checking in is always an important thing to do. So financially, it's huge, so important right now. What else? Soccer program. What about the soccer program? Any goalkeepers in the room? No goalkeepers. Okay, one goalkeeper. Do you have a goalkeeper coach? Do you have a goalkeeping program that am I going to be lumped in with the rest of them or not? What's your training program? Springs, falls, winter. What do you do? You can see the conference they play in. You can check it yourself, honestly. Have they been competitive? And really important is what's your mindset as a player. So are you right now the type of player who exists, who plays well when everything's going well? Are you the player that, when the team's 3-0 up, you're a superstar? When the team is 1-0 down, you disappear. Because if you're that player when it's 1-0 down and you don't fancy it, and you're saying, Coach, I want to go and play at UConn, and I want to play there because I want a really competitive environment, and I'm saying, look, mindset-wise, you need to change then, because you're great when things are going well, but if you're going to go in as a freshman and not start or play, I can see that really impacting you. And you have to be realistic about where you fit into the soccer program you're going into. Are you going in to fight as a freshman and get 10% playing time knowing you'll play later down the line, or do you need to go in and impact? So those are things you have to think about. I had that UConn situation happen with a girl, she's now 27, and she went to UConn, and I said, don't do it. And she went, and she didn't play very much, and she transferred out. And there's the number of transfers in first years is a huge number. One of my goals would be to see as few of you transfer after your freshman year, because you've made the right decisions. There's no need to do that. So that's why it's important to do the stuff at the start. So, soccer piece, the academic piece, soccer piece, and the third piece that you want to know is, do you really want to go to the school? So maybe it's a legacy, or what's driving you to want to go to that school? Right? What's the separating factor? You said, I've always wanted to play at Duke. Or, you know what, both my parents went to Clark, and I just love Worcester. It's just an awesome place, and I really want to live there for 4 years. Right? Whatever it is, if that last paragraph in your cover letter needs to say, what's different from you than everybody else? Because if you're applying to a really competitive school, and the vast majority of them are competitive in some capacity, you have to stand out. Right? And if it's not football, if it's not grades, what else is it? Right? And if it's you showing that you've got a real interest in that school, that could be the separating factor. How do you show that piece to a college coach? How do you show that college coach that you genuinely want to go there? Any ideas? This is what typically teenage kids do, right? They send them one email, and they go, that's it, all sent. I've sent my email, they know all about me, I'm good to go. When did you send it? 12 months ago. Yeah, you're high up the list right now. Right? So, communicating with it effectively, persistently, being organized, all of that will come up a little bit later. So, getting a feel for the school, talked about going to do some visits, unofficial visits. You can go anytime you want. You can go and knock on the door of a college coach when you're there, come in and see him. That's all. There's no rules to stop that. So any unofficial visits are just you showing up, walking around campus. And if you want to walk into the college coach's office as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior, senior, you can go in and just say, hi, my name is such and such, I'm really interested in your program. I would advise you all, it's not a particularly interesting read, but it's about a 24, 25 page read. Just go onto the Eligibility Centre, download the booklet that comes along with it, and it's a wonderful read. And it goes through all the rules. Again, you can own this then. So when someone says, when can a college coach contact you? You can say, let me flick to page 22, and it has it all laid out there. So the Eligibility Centre, usually called the Clearinghouse, has all that information on there. Be organised, be persistent, right? So some of you are better at this, and without being sexist again, girls are generally better than boys at this, because girls are smarter than we are. I hate to say it's true. And so you need to make sure that you have everything buttoned up, because if you're, the list that I want you to create, it may start off as 25 to 30 schools, and you're going to whittle it down. There's some different lines of thought on this, but I think keeping a broader base to start with allows you to then drop schools off and you can whittle it down, rather than starting with 3, right? There's not a lot of ways to go in 3, right? And so, but you may then start communicating with those college coaches, and you need to say, okay, I've been communicating with Amherst College, I emailed them there, I called them there, and it's all laid out. He responded to me here, then this happened, I went to the camp, then I got this feedback. Otherwise it can all blur into one and you can start to make mistakes. So, being organised and being persistent is really important. Next slide, Colin Howell. Right, so we already talked about some of this. So, the importance of academics, evaluate what you need to work on, sort it out now, ask for help now, right? If you need to work in certain areas of your academic workload, always make sure you're doing your best, right? Don't wait, don't say, oh, I'll wait till I get to my junior year, then I'll really put it in, right? It's really important that it's a habit, it's exactly the same stuff we tell you as players, is that everything you're doing should be a good habit. So setting aside your work and doing your work properly to the best of your ability is just something we would expect you to do. I'm trying to get my 7-year-old to do it right now, so he writes really quickly and it's all over the place. I'm saying, do your best, take your time. He's like, no, Dad, I want to watch Wonder Woman. So it's one of those ones you have to make sure you constantly set your standards as high as you possibly can. Get involved in extracurricular activities. Anybody doing anything exciting? Anybody? What we got? Put your hands up if you've got something exciting to share. Anybody doing anything extracurricular? What do you got? You play the guitar? For anybody, just yourself. Not really an extracurricular. Well, I suppose it is, play the guitar, but just in your room by yourself? Playing a band. Class. Why is that good? Why is that good for a college to know that you play in a band? What's hard about being in a band? Oh, so you've got to manage another activity to participate. What else? Good. What else do you have to do if you're in a band? You have to... Good. Be part of a team, unless you're a solo. And also you have to be prepared to do what? Come up on in front of people, which is one of the hardest things. I think it's number one is public speaking or being in front of people is everybody's biggest fear. Right? So being able to show the character, whether it's a band, whether it's whatever you do, and that shows that you've got some more to your character. Right? So if you're not doing anything right now, I would strongly advise you to think about something that you enjoy, where you can go and give back to the community or do something different that shows you've got a little bit more strings to your bow. Does that make sense? Because if you're going in the door to a school where there's 500 people who want your spot, then you need to be different in some capacity. And the one story that sort of wrapped this up to me was, boy, he would just have graduated, or he's a senior, and he was going to Babson. And the assistant coach at Babson was a friend of mine and I said, I'm surprised you took him. And he says, Pete, to be honest with you, there's 10 of them who were exactly the same player, academically the same, football-wise, who thought they were the same boy. And I said, so why did you take him? He says, he was the one who showed us the most over the contact time that he wanted to be a Babson player. He was the one who was most efficient, most effective with his communication. He was the one who came to our games and at the end of the game would come and make a point of shaking hands. And he did all the little things that just separated him out from the other 9. And he got to go to Babson to play. If you've got a game to coach, sometimes some schools either have somebody who's really overworked and so doesn't have a lot of time to spend with you. If you've got a good one, use them. If you don't, find somebody you trust. It could be your mum or dad who's got an excellent background in this, or find somebody you can go and speak to that can help you. Again, parents, there's all sorts of things out. You can spend as much money as you want on this. You can spend $5,000 and having someone help you with the academic pursuit of putting your kid in college quite easily. From my end, I think if you do this properly yourself, and if you can get your child to take this on, then there's no need to spend $5,000 to do that. Map out your academic course, map out your goals, what do you want to do, right? So pre-plan it. For the sophomores, start getting practice there, taking your testing, the PSATs, get them going, and start to get used to being in those situations so you can get them as high as you can. I'm going to tell the juniors to try and do their SATs as early in the winter as they can so they get another chance to take them if things don't go so well first time around. Okay? Soccer piece. So it's, club versus high school. The reality is that college coaches don't attend a lot of high school games. Some high school coaches have got very good connections with college coaches and will be able to help you. So absolutely use your high school coach to do so. But the reality is the high school season falls in the same season as the college season, so most college coaches don't come out to watch high school games, or at least very, very rarely. So it's one of those ones that you're more likely to get your exposure playing in your club level than you are in your high school level, right? But there's a myth also that college coaches will come to events. Because a lot of parents, we need to get the exposure. You've got to get me the exposure, Pete. If you don't get the exposure, how are you going to play there? And that's wrong, right? Because the college coaches don't come to tournaments with a blank folder saying, right, let's watch this game, and then go, right, I love number 24, I love number 10, I love number 9, right, let's go after them. Because now they have to ascertain 3 things. Well, 2 things, 2 of the 3. What do they have to ascertain? 1. So they like you as a football player, so 1's off. They know you're a fit football-wise. What's the other 2 things? Academics and do you have any interest in school in the first place? Right? So they go, we love number 9, right? And they go and say, number 9, you're it. Oh, see that you've got a 2.0 and you've got no interest in coming down to our school. Right? So what was the point? So who do they go to watch? Who do they mostly go to watch when they go to tournaments? So players who've reached out to them. And usually players who've reached out to them multiple times will be the ones that they go and do some research themselves. Pete, Mary has been bugging the nonsense out of me. She's called me 10 times before the Thanksgiving showcase. Is she any good? Yes, she is. You definitely want to see her. Right, we're going to go and see her. Right? So they'll come to their club coaches, their club head coaches, or if they know me directly, they'll come to me, and usually I'll direct them straight to the head coach and say, go and see them. Our goal is to help you with the right fit. Our goal is to try and get a college coach to clap eyes on you and then have you do well. Which is why I go back to the good habit piece. One of my favourite, and I almost took the lad's head off, is when he said to me, ages and ages ago, he said, Coach, put me in, we've got college showcase game, he goes, let me start the first game, I'll give you an extra 20%. I was like, if I had a baseball bat, I'd take his head off. I said, you've got another 20%? He was like, yeah. I'm like, why haven't you been giving me the other 20%? Sit down before I knock you down. You need to be prepared for every game as if your top college coach is coming to watch you. So when they actually do come to watch you, what don't you do? Right? And every touch goes all over the place, and then you have a bad game. And again, college coaches, they may come twice, right? They may, but they may not. Right? And I took, again, a boys' team to Tomac years and years and years ago, and the lad actually ended up going to Keene State. He wanted to go to Siena, and the Siena coach came to watch him, and he had an absolute stinker of a game. It was the worst game he played all year. It was one of those ones like, and the college coach was an area slap, and I said, look, Gareth, he's just had a really bad game. He's been excellent for me all year. I said, do me a favour, see him again. He was like, no, based on that, he's nowhere near our level, Pete. And I said, he is. I swear to God, he is. I said, just please go and see him again. He said, no. So when they come to watch you, you want to be ready, right? So our job is to try and make sure you're ready from a football sense, and you're ready to say, okay, every game I'm going to play, I'm going to prepare the same way. And they're maybe not just watching what you're doing on the field. So say you're playing a big game and your team lost, right? And the team's all together, going to color coach, and you're walking off and you're kicking babies and you're knocking over water bottles and you're punching your mom and you're, right? And a college coach is going, she's the best player. I wouldn't want her within 500 yards of my school program because she's absolutely Looney Tunes, right? And I don't want her anywhere near me. So you have to think how you're projecting pre-game, during the game, post-game. How you're reacting to adversity, how you're dealing with that, because they're watching, right? And if they watch you and see that you've done well on the field, and they see that you get a lot of character, and you work hard, and you control what you can control, they're going to have you for 4 years. So they don't want a lunatic, but they don't want someone they have to hold their hand all the way through. They want someone who's going to be a good citizen for their program. So evaluate your extra improvement. This is important that you know as a player as well, that you're realistic about what you've got, right? What areas do you need to work on, right? As a freshman or sophomore, now you're sitting going, okay, technically, tactically, physically, psychologically, you have to be realistic about what you're capable of doing. How do you improve it? This is something we as a club, I'm constantly looking at evaluating how we get that information back to you. So here's what you need to improve upon, and then here's how you do it. right? And so technically, it's, a lot of it comes down to practice, just hours of practice, right? Physically, again, it's a controllable piece of you going out and doing it, right? Are you prepared to go for those runs? Are you prepared to do 50 push-ups and crunches every day? Are you going to have that, 7 donuts instead? Psychologically, sometimes that, can we help with that piece? There's a lot of work going into the psychological mindset now of players, how you become stronger, mentally tougher, more confidence in your ability. And what's the other one? And physical, and tactically, can we make you more game intelligent? Can you become a student of the game? Can you watch more football on TV? Can you ask more questions? So when your coach is sitting talking to you and says, well, what do you think about them? I don't know. You say, well, how am I going to beat them? So at half time, your coach said, how am I going to beat them? And you said, I haven't got a clue. I haven't got a clue. And instead of saying, well, they're playing 4-4-2. Their big girl up top is lightning fast. So let's play a low line so that we don't give space up behind us. And every time she gets a ball, let's make sure we make her go back from goal. I'm going, okay, she'll do it for me. She can be my assistant coach. Anson Dorrance at UNC puts his players under all sorts of pressure to have to think for themselves on the game. Right? They'll go and pick him out and say, what do you think? What do you think? And if you sit and go, he's going, okay, you're no good for me. You're not going to be able to play for me. So, be a student of the game. Watch Manchester United as much as you can. They're going to win the league. Colin, is that true?
No.
No. And a big one that a lot of people ask will be camps and clinics and what is it, are they important to go to? And are they important to go to at your age? And so they've evolved to become easier to go to, right? So it's not a 5-day camp anymore. You can go to a day clinic, a 2-day clinic, you can go to longer camps. And I would suggest it's not bad for you guys to go to a couple to 3 over the course of a year that makes sense for you. So just going for an experiential piece is fine. Go and see what it's like. Maybe try and go to one where there's multiple college coaches going to be there and go and see what it's like, right? But don't go to 55 of them, right? Go to a few. And they say to you, you'll find ones that happen over winter indoor for 1 day, go for $50, $75, and they'll bring in 10 different colleges at different levels. It's smart by the college coaches. They say, so when Eddie Kelly runs his BC one, he brings in Bowdoin and Tufts and Harvard, and he brings in a whole bunch of different college coaches because that attracts more players to the event, right? Right, next slide. Okay, so it's a little bit different from sophomore and from freshman, but effectively, again, you go to the eligibility center, you'll see what you can and can't do. And effectively, it changes from Division 1 to Division 2 to Division 3. Division 3 is much more lax, Division 2 is a little more lax, Division 1 is the toughest in terms of what they can and can't do. So they can't reach out to you as a freshman. You can go to camps, you can go and watch them play, you can't speak with you. And it's a little bit more lax as sophomores, but not much. Say it's a little bit more lax with Division 2 and Division 3. You can call them at any time. If you call a college coach and they pick up, you can speak to them for as long as you want. So if you call the school and you actually got them on the phone, there's no problem. They just can't reach out to you. There's a couple of blackout dates, but other than that, it's fairly straightforward. On unofficial visits, you can go on campus, you can speak to them all day long. Right? They just can't be proactive in reaching back to you via email or phone call. So if you left them a message, they couldn't call you back as a freshman or something. Right? So don't use that as an excuse to not start to communicate. And again, when you go to apply to a school, they'll have a database, they'll have a questionnaire you fill in, and that will put you on the database. And then I'd suggest you have a cover letter, which we have examples of on our website, and some of it's being cleared up right now, but there'll be an example of a cover letter, you get your profile done, and you keep that, and you just add to it. And when you're reaching out, you say, here's who I am, here's where I live, here's where I'm playing for, I'm really interested in your school. And you can just start to build on it, right? So the communication piece can be difficult, and when you get into junior year, it can be really tricky. It can be hard to get a hold of them, and it's a great excuse. Mom, Dad, I've tried, I can't get them. And you're like, well, the kid in Virginia is trying harder and is getting them. So you may miss out because you're not prepared to make that phone call. And when you actually do call them and get them on the phone, don't panic and throw the phone to your mom or dad and go, well, I'm not speaking to them. Right? Be prepared. Have a list of questions that you might want to ask them, which might be what? What might you ask a college coach, either on an unofficial visit or on the phone? Say, what do you got? How's your team? Right? If you said that to me, I'd say, you clearly don't have much interest in my program, big man. Why would I say that to you? Because you should know. You're saying, how was your season? Are you saying, how was my season in terms of record? Didn't you check out my... You say, no, coach, I saw your record was 12-3-1, but how was your season? It was more of a, how was your season question, right? Rather than, what was your season, right? So, if you're going to talk about the program, you need to be knowledgeable about the program. It's a great switch off for a college coach if you go in and say something dopey and you go, you don't care about my program. No care at all. If you're a goalkeeper, right, and you say, well, I see that you're graduating out, all your goalkeepers, when I come in, that's awesome, right? And he goes, right, this kid's actually researched my roster. I like that. Coach, I watched your game on TV. Nancy Feldman, BU were playing against somebody, it was a blizzard. It was it was a horrible game. Oh, you saw us, you actually watched us, great, right? And you have a little bit of dialogue about their program, showing that you care, right? Then you could show that you're a student of the game. How could you do that? By saying Manchester United will win the Premiership. How could you show that coach that you've actually got a brain and you're not the dopey, typical teenage kid they're going to have to deal with? What could you talk about?
The formation.
Good! Shout, coach. You could say, we play this. What do you play? She might say, well, what roles do you fulfill? Jake Ray's there. What position, what roles in the field can you play in? Is there another Jake Ray's there in the room? Yes, you in particular. Play fullback? Hold on. Can you play both sides? Which one are you most comfortable with? Okay. Where else could you play? Where else have you played? And if I was giving you your choice of where to play, what would it be? Attacking centre mid? Okay. And what does your team play this year in terms of formation? And have you adjusted to any other formations? So I like him, right? Because he's talking to me like he knows the game, right? So I'm like, you know what? This kid will do for me. He's just said, okay, when we're in low press situation, we go 4-5-1, right? And he's chatting to me about football. He'll do for me, right? So how do you get that conversation across? So, okay, go. So timeline, get your act together now. Start to put together that cover letter. Again, we can help you with that. Start to get the profile put together. Start adding to your profile. What have you done? What are you going to do? Start to think about what it's going to look like down the road. If you are really serious about saying, Pete, I'm looking at top Division 1 schools, then you need to be super duper aggressive right now. And you need to be reaching out to them right now. And they need to know about you right now. And you need to be realistic about that approach. The junior year, so the juniors are coming in next. The juniors will all have a meeting with the college liaison person, so boys meet, girls queue, and that will be in mid-December. We actually tried to do it earlier, before the Thanksgiving showcase. It's just so tough to pull off with everybody's schedules. So we're trying to bump these things back. This meeting used to happen down the line. We're trying to move things back to give you all more information. And ultimately we'll put more stuff online, we'll video more of this, so we don't have to actually come live to do these in the future. But again, thank you for coming along. So, get your finger out, get your act together, go for it. So what should you be doing? Right? Go watch games, go try and watch a range of games. I realise again that can be tricky, because you've all got really busy social schedules. Right, players, and you've got a lot of parties to go to, a lot of stuff to do. But if you really want to go and separate yourself, look at your calendar, look at your schedule, and find a half a dozen games as a freshman or as a sophomore that you can go and watch. So then you can go and say, right dad, right mom, I know what the Ivy League looks like. I know what the NESCAC looks like at this level. right? I know what Division 2 locally looks like. I've seen it, right? Go and visit college campuses, again, if you've got siblings going, or even if you can talk your mom or dad into, again, everybody's busy. We're all busy, right? So you have to be respectful of time. So again, players, you need to figure this out. You can't just go up to your mom and dad and go, right, let's go and visit Northeastern right now. And they're like, well, no. No, because I've got your brother to feed, and I have to take your sister to ballet, and I have to do this and that, and I have to paint the shed, and I also have to do all these other things. So you have to be prepared, plan, and organize yourself so you can say, Mom, Dad, I'm looking at the week of October 15th, 16th. I know there's not much going on that weekend. Any chance we could go and do a couple of visits that weekend? If I was your parent, I'd be like, happy days, right? Well, let's go and do it, right? Work hard at school. Work hard at soccer. Again, be accountable. The bottom line really comes down to you. The harder you, the more you put into this, the more you get out. Right? So don't look for excuses. Don't blame people. You control the process as best you can. If you get stuck, ask for help. And at the end of it, you will have some choices. I guarantee you'll have some choices. And start your player profile. Sophomore, a lot of the same, right? Go and watch, visit, maybe a guidance counselor, develop your college wish list, start putting that list of schools together that you might be interested in, and keep it broad-based. Get your cover letter done. And again, the calling a couple of college coaches, why is that in there? Is that absolutely essential? What's a good reason for that? Practice. Pick a school you're not really interested in, so when you balls it up, you can go, I sounded like a complete idiot in that phone call. I am so happy I have no interest in going to that school. Right? Don't pick your number one pick as your first call and bumble and stumble your way through it and go, oh my God, oh, they hate me, they're going to never go there. So use it for practice. Coach. So this is where I was hoping Steve Crononis would be in. We partner with Sports Social, and Q's being the man that really brought it in. There's an excellent resource for a lot of the information they have on their website. Right? And so all the financial aid stuff, they have a program called MaxFit, where basically you can punch in, I'm interested in going to the south, I'm interested in these programs, I'm interested in blah, blah, blah. You put in the factors and it'll spit back out 15 schools that are max for what you've put in. It doesn't do anything on the football side. It gives you links to the football sites, but it doesn't tell you whether you're a fit on the football site. That's where you have to use yourself, your parents, the club, and anybody you trust in your soccer circle. So it gives you a lot of information in one site that you can tap into from an admin piece. So we're going to be doing some more and putting some more of this out. And right now it's much more expensive than this. It's down to this per person. But again, we're trying to do a little bit more with in volume across the 10 states to try and bring this down as well. So I'd like all our players to use this. So they also have, when we do this, they have a college liaison person. So they have somebody on staff 24/7 who you could call and say, I've got this particular question. And you can go and call them and they'll answer the question for you. And again, it's this role for me, as much as I love it, and I've got so much stuff going on. Even to set up the weekends for the juniors meetings is becoming very difficult for me. So the more I can have other people help our staff, our body of staff, the better it is for me. So that's the e-college counselor. So last slide before we do the Q&A. So individual college leagues and juniors, we have our showcase events. We have obviously the competitive calendar. We try to tailor to give exposure to our players on the East Coast primarily. We have a lot of alumni. We're going to try and do more of that in terms of having more connections with our alumni as we move along, so you can ask those people questions. And the club has a tremendous amount of credibility in the soccer world in the US, right? So, and that's pretty much been based on integrity and on being honest. So we're not going to tell a college coach something about you that's not true, right? And typically, and I say this, you know, every single player I've ever spoken to a college coach about, the one thing I've always been able to ring true on is saying they're a great kid. Because if they weren't a great kid, they probably wouldn't be with us. We would have got rid of them. So you're getting a great kid. Now let's break down them as a football player, right? And talk about whether they're going to be a good fit football-wise. But that's been something I've always been proud of as a DOC, that when I speak to college coaches, I'm going, you're getting an absolutely fantastic human being. I said, now, let's go talk about it. And that's where we keep our credibility. So if I lie to the college coach about you, you go there, you're not what I say, then we're shot. And only once in 15 years have I ever got a player into a college program where the college coach didn't see them. And that was a player who used to play for me, was the head coach. And she said, I'll take your word for it. And she was our captain as a junior. So that's my job, to try and get them to see you. Even if I talk you up a treat, it's still just to get them to see you and say, go and have a look at them. In terms of exposure, obviously if you're looking West Coast or Midwest, then it's absolutely very, very useful and important to have a DVD, a video done. And Carl, who's our partner, our club partner, Carl, come up for 2 minutes here. And he can talk you through what his company does. But and even if you're local, having your own little set of highlighted edits can be something that's useful. My feeling is, if you're only looking in New England, if you're saying that's it, my search goes to New England, there's no real need for a video, right? Unless you're going, I'd like to have a highlight reel, and that's fair enough. But if you're looking outside of that and you think the college coach might not see you as much, then absolutely. Coach Southwick looking very gangster.
Thank you. So I run a company called Precision Soccer Video Analysis, and what we do is create college recruitment highlight videos for players U15 and above. The idea being that it gives you a chance to get in front of coaches that you might not necessarily get in front of. We work with all players, boys and girls, and help you get into an environment that is suitable for your level of play. So over the last 18 months, we've helped players get into Division 3, 2 and Division 1 schools based off the videos that we produce. We work together with you, not only in producing the video, but giving you after-sales care and advice and mentorship to get you into where you want to be. We can also give you evaluations based on the footage that we collect as to whether we feel you'll be capable of playing at the level of school that you might have ambitions to. You might well want to play at a D1 school, but it might realistically be out of your realms to do that. And we will give you honest and straightforward advice of whether that's a good way for you to go. We do have some information at the back, just on the podium, which Colin is nicely taking over right now. So there's information on not only my contact details, but on the types of packages that we produce and how we can help you move forward. It is useful for you to have it. It's not the be-all and end-all. It's not guaranteeing you to get in front of coaches. It's not guaranteeing that you'll get into a school, but it does definitely highlight what you're capable of doing and does give you an opportunity to get in front of people who might not necessarily be able to. All right, good luck.
I think one of the big pluses is that it's a soccer-specific people doing the video analysis, breaking it down, so you're not getting somebody who doesn't quite get it doing that. So, okay, so questions. We've got 5 minutes before I have to clear you all out before the juniors and seniors come in. Question?
On the clinics, do most of them take place during the summer, and how do you find out about that?
Right, so no, they take place year-round, and you find out, right now there's not like a nice little go-to one site where you can just say, oh, plug in all camps and clinics in New England. You have to go to the individual site and find out. So it's just your own research on that particular college as to what they're running. No, I think that's something that may start to crop up where people will do that work for you. God bless the internet. But right now, it's your individual research of what's going on. Now, there are some camps that we have a good partner with PPA, and they'll bring college coaches together, like a bunch of them together in one site, and that way you know that you're going to get multiple views, and their schedule will be out way in advance, and that's a specific website. Any other questions? So it's early. Yes, sir.
Why is the college meeting not until the junior year?
So again, typically, well, to be honest with you, we did this when it was really more important than it was in the junior year. Most of the recruiting still does happen in the junior year, right? And if you ask me honestly, personally, when we should do it, is that I still think it serves most benefit in the junior year. I think there's a very small subset of players where you say, okay, it might behoove them to get after this in their sophomore year. And we can identify those players, and those players obviously can come to us and say, right, I want to come and meet with you, and we've always done that. I would love to see the NCAA change this completely, and I know that there's college coaches who feel the same way and say, look, this is ridiculous. It behooves some of the bigger colleges to keep it the way it is, because they can go out and do what they want. But it really, in my opinion, junior year is about the right time for kids to sit down and weigh up what they've got and what they don't got and where they want to go. And so that's typically what we've done. I still think it better serves our playing community to do them in the junior year. But to Q's credit, he's been the one who's been pushing me back and saying, let's do these meetings now before the turn of the year, and let's try and bump things forward a little bit. I said, if I had my way, the NCAA would push things back again. So that's why. So if any of you want to do a meeting as a sophomore, do you feel as if then absolutely reach out to me, and we'll set that up. The meetings are 20-minute meetings. You come into the office with you as a player, with both your parents or one of your parents, and you come in with your list of schools, and we just basically go through a bit more in depth of what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah, I was told that there was two types of college camps. One's that you sign up for that anybody can go to, but there's also a college ID camp that you get invited to the ID camp from the college.
Yes, there's some who will send. You'll get some that you'll get the email that comes out and goes, "Dear Judy, we have chosen you to come to our college camp because we think you're awesome," and they've sent out 500 of them, right? So usually the one that IDs, the one that says, "We've seen you, you've had some measure of a relationship with them before." So you've actually been in dialogue with them, and they say, "You know what might be good for you, because we didn't get to see you at that last game, come to that camp. You fit the bill, your academics are good, we like speaking to you, you seem like you're buttoned up as a kid, your soccer pedigree looks the part, we spoke with your club coach, you're definitely a fit, we would just like to see you, it might be a good one for you to come along." And we're doing this specific one where we're bringing in only 25 or 30 players, come to that one. Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. It's a big revenue generator for the college coaches. Typically they'll bump it off to their assistant coach and have them run it. So I would suggest that, but don't be fooled by when you get, sometimes you get this a random email and it's like, please attend our camp. And if you've had nothing from them before, it's great. As a player, you go, they've seen me, I'm awesome. And really they've got a database or somewhere and they just send out, emails to that list. Any other questions? Because the smart people have arrived. Steve Quinones, smarter than me. Dan Gallagher, current women's coach, College of the Holy Cross. You two have missed the meeting, so you made it go home. Don't see. Any other questions? What do you think? We're getting into real detail right now, by the way. We're talking paragraphs right now. Keep it as succinct and as clear as possible. Without slagging off college coaches, they're not the smartest group of people in the world, and they always claim not to have any time, even though they only work for 12 weeks a year. Is that correct, Ms. Gallagher? So the answer is keep it as simple as you can. Don't be getting too worried because they're going to read it. More importantly would be make sure you spell their name right. You laugh, right? But so you spell their name wrong, that's the first one in the bin, right? So if you're sending it to BC, go Eagles, not go Terriers. That's another one that'll end up in the bin, right? The other one, and I didn't touch on all this, but now social media is becoming very important for you. If you've got a dopey email address, if you've got Haley@partygirl.com, change it, because they're not going to do well with that. And if you've got your social media stuff and you're putting on pictures of the last party you went to, and you're thinking, oh, my friends are going to love this. College coaches tend not to like, and admissions officers don't like things like that, right? And it's happened. We've seen players I know a player who was involved in a drugs situation where he was full right to go to a top Division 1 school program, and they pulled it. He was involved in a drug incident and straight away gone, done. And it was something that was on social media. So you need to be super duper careful, because it's the way it's moving. You guys are, it's anything you put out there stays out there, right? And your stuff. In our day, when I'm talking to the mid-30-year-olds now out there, in our 40s. In our day, it was pen and paper. You could, what I mean? There was nothing like that to happen. Now it's out there, and it can be a major factor in your process. So don't do it. Any other questions? Any words of wisdom from the back gallery? Steve Cronos, you want to give us 2 minutes? You haven't heard the rest of the meeting, but any important?
Just stay on top of what you're doing. Be organized. Make sure that you are communicating early to everybody, and follow through and keep communicating. It's not enough, I'm sure Pete's already addressed it, just to send an email or two and leave it at that. It's up to you to promote yourself. So every time that you send an email, or every time you've got an update about something and what you've done, send it to the coach, no matter what. And it's never too late to get started, because it comes fairly quick. But just keep it organized and keep it written down, and things will be good.
Darren, you had 60 seconds for a pearl of wisdom. Darren used to work for the company for how many years, Darren? 7? Was it 7 years? 5 years?
Just missed out on the watch.
You just missed out on the watch. 8 years. I must give you that watch. So Darren, give us a pearl of wisdom before you go.
Just tell yourself, contrary to what you might believe, you're not the only central midfielder that plays soccer in the US, and there's a player over in California that's probably plays just like you and has the same aspirations. But if they contact me, every other week and give me an update and constantly, show me that they care about our program and they want to be there, then I'm going to gravitate towards that person. So even though you think you might have done enough by emailing a coach once every month, at this stage of the game you want to start doing it, and you want to be organized about how you do it. Keep a calendar, make sure you're checking in, anything that happened in a phone call, you log it, so that you go in with power and knowledge in the next situation, whether it be a visit to the school or another phone call. So stay organized and stay vigilant, and be aggressive about selling yourself.
Be aggressive. Be aggressive. Okay, so thank you for coming, because the fact that you're here in the first place already sends a message out that you guys have shown a little bit of oomph to be here, right? So players in particular. So thank you for that. And then as you go along the steps of the way, parents, players, the club will help you. So if you ever had a block, we'll help you, right? So don't be afraid to reach out. But ultimately, it's down to you being aggressive, being organized, and being as diligent and as accountable as you can. Thanks for coming. Don't leave anything behind. See you later. Bye.